Early in the morning, several armed officers barged into a residence. The people inside were so frightened that they raised their hands high, arguing, "You've got the wrong person, don't scare the two children upstairs." However, what the man didn't know was that the children he spoke of were the very people the police were looking for, and they were suspected of murder. 13-year-old Jimmy innocently shouted, "I didn't kill anyone," but had to cooperate with the police action, and even wet his pants out of fear. The detective had no choice but to let the father come up to change the child's pants. During this time, the police officers skillfully searched the house for any evidence that might implicate Jimmy, leaving no stone unturned. The home was instantly thrown into chaos. While the parents tried their best to argue that their child would never do such a thing, Jimmy was already being escorted into a police car. The father could only urge him, "Don't say anything, Mom and Dad will be there to find you soon." As the car started, the helpless Jimmy kept staring out the window, just hoping his father would get to his side as soon as possible. He cried to the detective that he didn't do anything, but the detective replied, "Now is not the time to explain. Wait until we get to the police station." Upon arriving at the police station, Jimmy was locked in a temporary cell. He requested a lawyer, but the parents didn't have a familiar lawyer and could only ask the police to provide a free duty lawyer for now. To calm Jimmy down, the entire sampling and interrogation process would be accompanied by his father, which is also a basic right of underage suspects. At this point, it's unclear whether Jimmy really committed the crime. He appears very innocent and is cooperating with the investigation. But from the father's perspective, he's even more nervous than Jimmy because Jimmy himself knows whether he killed someone or not. If he didn't kill, then he at least knows something related to the case. If he did kill, then his current behavior is all an act. But the father is completely in the dark. Who exactly died? Did the child really kill someone? He can't directly ask now, nor can he say much to influence the interrogation. At this point, the nurse interrupted the conversation, asking the father to wait outside first and that she would take him to accompany the sampling later. The nurse's assessment of Jimmy was,
Right, no current medication, no relevant medical history. I hate juvenile cases, mate.
No one likes him.
The duty lawyer also arrived at the scene. He first explained the investigation process to the family, then interfaced with the two detectives on the case. But the police won't disclose the progress of the investigation to the lawyer. The lawyer can only learn some basic information, such as who was killed, what time the death was confirmed, and other basic facts. After completing these procedures, it was time for sampling. The father was called to the sampling room to accompany him. After completing fingerprint and blood sampling, Jimmy was asked to take off his clothes for inspection. The father thought this step was completely unnecessary. The officer explained that clues and evidence might be hidden on his body. The father lowered his voice and said, "When he wet his pants earlier and changed pants, you all saw it, there's no need to check again, right?" To protect his son's dignity, this father didn't budge an inch and started arguing with the officer. Just as the argument was getting more and more heated, Jimmy interjected with, "I don't mind," and only then did the father stop arguing with the officer. Afterwards, Jimmy took off his clothes and cooperated with the inspection, while the lawyer and nurse beside him also respectfully turned around. However, this process was extremely excruciating for the father. He watched the officer meticulously inspect every part of his son's body, as if watching his son become like meat on a chopping board, but could only stand aside, unable to interfere in the slightest.